Hello, welcome back to another episode of Brotherly Love Podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in so far throughout the other episodes and, actually receiving the word and just supporting me in my doing of this podcast. And I just want to continue to help you guys that hear this, that receive this, get closer to God and just be able to just be a leader and guide you guys in the right direction and just help you guys hone in on your own relationship with God and, bring you closer. On today, we'll be coming from James 4, verse 7. We're going to be talking about, aligning ourselves with God and just living for God, what that looks like and what that sounds like. Again, that's James 4, chapter 7. And it reads, "Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." So in this verse, it tells us to submit ourselves to God. Basically what that means is allow God to be the number one, person, the number one reason in your life. Allow God to be the decision maker in your life. Allow God to be the first thing that you think of when you're deciding to do things, when you react to things. Let God be the first person that you think of, like, am I pleasing God when I do this, right? So basically, just a breakdown in this scripture, it's allowing God to have authority over our life and standing firm against the devil. Allowing God to have authority over our life is just allowing God. It's not just saying praying every morning. That's important, but it's not just sending your prayers up. It's actually walking according to that, walking according to those words that you read each and every day, walking according to those words that you hear in church every Sunday, in Bible study every Wednesday. It's just living who you say you are, just being that person. It's easy to say God is dictating something, is dictating our lives, and is the head of our lives. But if it don't actually show in our actions, we can't really, say that. From personal experience, allowing God to take over my life and just submit myself to God is just me giving everything I can to Him, sowing seeds daily. Just making sure that my actions each and every day reflect that. My relationships, I try each and every day my best to love everyone. Every day isn't perfect. There's been days where I did not do the right thing. I was not pleasing to God. My actions were not pleasing to God. My attitude towards others were not pleasing to God. But, that's what it means when we align ourselves with the authority of God, allowing God to have authority in our lives. It's accepting His will and just carrying out His will. Accepting His ways and carrying out His ways. It's easy, but at the same time, it's hard because we're so stuck in our ways, right? We're so stuck in the things that we're so used to doing that when it's come time to adapt to something bigger and better, it tends to, those old ways tend to come up. Those old ways tends to, still be lingering around, and we continue to just revert back to those things, but we just continually have to just do what the second part of this verse says, stand firm against the devil, because the devil is going to always want you to go back to your old self. And that's what you have to refrain from doing. You can't allow yourself to go back to your old self, because, if your old self was the self that you wanted to be, you wouldn't be looking for improvement. So you can't allow the devil to keep you in that mindset of, what I'm doing is okay. The way that I'm living is okay, because we at the end of the day, we can't get content with where we are. Even if we are having, doing things that may not be wrong or anything, we can't get content in our faith with God. We can't get content in our relationship with God. We got to continue to grow, elevate, and get better. So, just allowing God to have that authority over us. I just want us to practice, all right, today I'm going to love, everybody. I'm not going to go get angry. I'm not going to get angry at anyone. I'm not going to react the way the devil wants me to react. I'm going to love, be peaceful, be kind, everything I do, and then once you start to study the word, in God's ways and what's pleasing to God, you will start to see, those things that we can do in our individual lives to align ourselves with him. Going on to help us better understand verse 7, let's go back to verse 5 where it says, "Do you think the scripture said in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy?" So basically what this verse means is God wants to own the soul that dwells in us, right? So when we get up in the morning, our soul, right, our spirit, that our spirit is what affects our attitude, and then our attitude is what affects how we treat people that day, right? So our spirit, we want to make sure that our spirit is right as soon as we get up, that God owns our spirit. That today that I make the declaration, I'm going to allow God to just move in me on today. I don't want my prideful self, my worldly self to take over. I want God to take over. That's something that I pray for every day. I tell God, when I pray, I said, I just want your spirit to flow through me. I don't want my worldly self to be shown. I want you to be shown through me. Because at the end of the day, when I am at the forefront, when I'm being shown, when my ways are being shown, it's typically bad. I don't want people to see, me. I don't want to be prideful. I don't want the people to see the real me. My preacher back home in Texas, he recently talked about it, like people seeing the real you. There's two different people. You got the real you, and then you got the people that, you got the person that you show to people. And I want the people on the outside looking in, I want them to see the person that God, has for me to be. I don't want them to see the person that God don't want me to be, because that's me. That's my old sinful ways showing up. I don't want them to see those ways ever. I don't want that person to show up in private. So I just ask God to let his spirit just flow through me, so that when I'm able to go out there and relate to others, that I'm able to love, give love, be caring, that I'm able to accomplish things, and do things and think with a clear mind, and, make sound decisions when I'm out in the world, that, just be friends with him. I just want to have his spirit within me, because it just makes life better. It just makes my walk better when he is at the head of my life. Now, we go on to verse 6 where it says, "But he giveth more grace, wherefore he said, God resisted the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble." So right here is, we have to be humbled enough to allow God to be at the head of our lives, to have authority over us. Not everyone is okay with the idea of God, being at the head of our lives because of things that they may think, or things that they have been told. They think God is trying to control them. But at the end of the day, God gave you the decision. He gave you the free will to decide whether you come after him or not. But we just have to be humbled enough to allow God to be at the head of our lives. We can't say, all right, God, you can rule me here, but in this situation, you can't rule me. God, well, you can take over in my relationship with my kids, but when I'm at my job, you don't do nothing over there. I don't want to abide by the same rules and regulations over here, right? So we can't allow our own, we can't allow our pride to come up, right? Even in situations when we're able to relate to others, right? When people say something to us that it may not be, the right thing, and it may irritate us, it may make us angry, and we think about those consequences. We think about the way that God has put out there for us to react to it, and then we think about the way that we want to react to it. But when we choose the way we want to react to it, we have now allowed our pride to make the decision for us, which in terms is like us making our own decision and away from God, apart from God, right? We want to continue to humble ourselves before God in everything. You know, whether someone make us angry, whether someone, you know, whether this relationship isn't going well, whether this job search isn't going well, we want to continue to follow the way that God has, you know, called for us to follow, and not allow our pride to get in the way of us, you know, and get in the way of blessings at the end of the day. Because, you know, when we choose to do things our own way, you know, allow our pride to make the decisions for us, you know, we typically ruin things, you know, we typically, you know, lose, you know, relationships. We typically miss out on blessings and opportunities that we could have had if we just would have just stayed firm and just allow God to just, you know, guide us, rule us, and dictate where we go. We're going to drop down to verse 8. It says, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Purify your hearts, ye double-minded." So everything that I'm saying is how we submit ourselves to God. But this verse in particular, it just gives us a great in-depth description of what that looks like, right? So he says, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you." Meaning, draw nigh to God. All right, today I wake up, I choose God over everything. In this situation over here, I choose God over everything. In my school, I choose God. I choose to be the student that God created me to be, right? And that's how you draw near to God. You give him time, you give him your talents, and you give him your treasures. Just allow him to be the dictator of everything, you know, no matter, you know, who like it or not, right? Because he's telling us, cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Meaning, put away those old ways. Put down those things that you know are wrong. Put down those attitudes that you know are wrong. Put down those words that you know are wrong. He's saying, just accept the way that I have called for you to live, right? And we just got to get to a point to where this can all be easy, right? We just have to get to a place where we don't care what others think, right? We can't, when we submit ourselves to God, right? Most of us and most people my age, you know, we don't want to totally submit ourselves to God. You know, we do it in private, but not in public around our friends, because we're scared of losing relationships. We're scared of what they may think of us. And what advice I would give to people my age is, it's no in between. God said you can't be friends with the world and be friends with me. So we just gotta submit ourselves to God with no regrets, you know, with no distractions. And that's another thing that I pray for. Just remove the distractions that will prevent me from drawing near to you, you know, that will prevent me from cleansing my hands of those old ways, or even going back to those old ways. And we just can't be worried about what people think about us, you know. If they can't accept us for who we are, they just not meant for us. And that's something I learned along the way, you know. I've never been a guy with a big friend group, but, you know, I just, over the years of growing my relationship with God, I just felt myself distancing from people. Just because, you know, I'm drawing nearer to God, which means you're going to draw further away from things that you used to do, things that you used to desire, people that you used to desire to be around. It's just going to be some things that's going to change about you. And, you know, there's definitely been some change in me because I've taken my relationship with God seriously. You know, and I just don't desire to do the same things anymore. And I think that's what most people are afraid of, you know, losing something that, you know, may not be in the will of God, losing someone that may not, you know, be a part of that journey that God got for them. And you just got to trust God, man. You just got to trust God, because he wouldn't be telling us to do these things if, you know, if that wasn't for our good. And also, drawing near to God, he said he's going to draw near to us. So if we show God that we truly love him by living for him every day, accepting his plan for us, carrying out his purpose for his kingdom, just walking according to his word and according to his commandments, if we show him that in our actions each and every day, proving to him our faith by our works, he's going to draw near to us. He's going to start meeting our needs. He's going to start granting us our wants, right? But we have to do the whole thing, right? We have to cleanse our hands of those sins, right? He says, cleanse your hands, ye sinners, right? We have to put away those old ways. We have to start to live in our new selves, in our renewed selves, and just making sure God is the first person that we seek to please in everything. And that's just something that's going to take time. It took time with me. It's still taking, some time as I continue to grow in my faith. But, it's worth it at the end. I promise you, like, life is just going to be so much better. You're going to see so many doors open that, although I love being around those people, although I love the things that I used to do, they weren't for the better of my life, and it's just all about accepting God's will and just knowing that once I submit myself to him, that it's all gonna be good. And it just starts there. We just have to have that faith in God, right? We just have to have that faith in God, and that's all it's gonna take. Right? And then he also talks about being single-minded, being double-minded. I mean, he talks about being double-minded. And what double-minded is when I have a mind for God, I have a desire to live for God, but at the same time, I have a desire to live for the world, right? Meaning, well, sometimes I'm going to put God first, but then sometimes the world going to have to come first, right? And that's another thing that we struggle with in my age group. Sometimes we don't know how to turn the world off. And God is saying the way to do that is to be single-minded, right? Be single-minded. Be all about me, not caring what this person is saying, not caring what that person is saying, not caring what that person is doing. Because at the end of the day, if they can't get with it, they're not for you, If you can't live the way you want to live, they not for you, right? And he's saying just be single-minded, be all about me. I promise you, it's not lame to be all about God. People have this misconception about living for God. You can still be a cool guy. You can still be a popular person, in your school. You can still be athletic. You can still be, whatever you want to be. But living for God has nothing, it has nothing to do with how much fun you have. It just makes you more aware of how to be responsible and how to have that fun, right? You can still be the same person that you are, but some of those ways are going to have to change. And then plus, some of those desires are going to have to go away. And we just can't be afraid of that. We just got to know that God has the best interest in our heart, in his heart for us. Just being all about God is nothing, is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it. And I admire people. I gravitate to people that think the same way, because like I just feel like regardless of whatever's going on in your life, you have a great foundation, and the source of the blessing. And that I just like people who could care less about what people think, especially my age. Like, I'm trying to bring people closer to God, especially my age group, because it'll make the world so much better. I see so many people that's lost, people that's having problems in their lives, they just lost, they don't know what to do. These are things that they haven't gone through before. And I can tell you, I've been through the same things, the emotions of not knowing what's next, or the emotions of, wanting to please those people. that I'm around. And my relationship with God just taught me, when you draw near to him, you're gonna draw further away from people, from things, and you just have to accept it. Like, those things, those people, they're not for you. And you can't be so focused on pleasing people. You can't be so focused on pleasing others that you put God on the back burner. Because at the end of the day, he's the source of all blessings. So that relationship will never be, the best that it can be if you never take care of the main thing, right? If you never make sure that your relationship with God is right. And that's just something that's going to come with our maturity in faith, our maturity in God. That's something that I pray for each and every day. Make sure that I'm who I need to be in each and every relationship that I have, whether it's, my mom, my dad, friends, girlfriend, don't matter. Just bless me to be who I need to be. Bless me to just walk in your image of who you created me to be in this relationship. And it's just a hard thing, especially at my age, drawing near to God, because we want to go back to those things that we used to do, those ways that we used to have, those people that we used to be around. But we have to realize, like, those they're not helping me get anywhere, right? So, we just have to trust God, man. Just have to trust God. Resist the devil, because that's what the devil's gonna want you to do. He's gonna use those desires, right? He's gonna use those desires to do those old things, to make you go back into doing those things, right? But you have to be strong. And how you get strong? Submit yourself to God, putting on that armor of God, right? Using the word against the devil. The devil cannot fight back against the word. If you put the word back on him, he can't. He can't do nothing against that, right? So we just, I'm just here to help, because I went through some things spiritually in my relationship with God. I realized some things. I went through some things that, God just continued to bless me. Even in spite of me, being double-minded. And then I've also seen the results of doing these things, submitting myself to God, dedicating everything that I do to God. I've seen the results of what could happen if you do that. So I'm coming from a place of experience and learning and growth. So, I just want to continue to be a leader for others, right? But then he goes on to say in verse 10, he says, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord. He shall lift you up. So if we humble ourselves in the sight of the Lord, so if I allow God to be God in my life, to be the head of my life, to be the one in my life, if I focus on God, God's going to reveal to me my purpose. God's going to reveal to me his will for me. He's going to start revealing, you praying for that blessing, right? But if you humble yourself before him, if you submit yourself to him, he's going to reveal how he has for you to get there. You'll never know, right? You'll always be confused. You'll always be trying to do things on your own if you never let God submit yourself to God, right? But if you submit yourself to God, he said, I'm going to reveal my purpose for you. I'm going to reveal to you what I have for you to do for me. I'm going to reveal to you how you're going to get this blessing that you're looking for. I'm going to reveal to you, who is for you and who is not for you. I'm going to reveal to you what things are pleasing to me and what's not pleasing to me, right? It's all about, God just has to know, right? To make this easier, God just want to know, are you ready for a relationship with me? Are you willing to humble yourself before me? If you show God that, he's going to start revealing to you. All right? And you're going to start to see. You're going to start to peep things. You're going to start to recognize things and that only God can do. You're going to be like, man, that was nothing but God right there. Because these are things that never happened to you before, right? Things moving around and working out how you never thought they'll work out, right? But we have to be willing, right? We have to be willing. We can't allow our pride, meaning I can't allow what I envision for myself, who I envision myself being around, who I envision myself being, who I envision myself, what purpose I envision myself having. I can't allow my ideas and my thinking to get in the way of that. Humbling yourself, meaning, is allowing God to rule, right? But pride is allowing, is your logic and your thinking coming in and interrupting what God has for you, right? And sometimes we get in our way. We think things are supposed to happen the way we want them to happen, and things are supposed to happen when we want them to happen. And people are supposed to be around us that we want to be around us. But sometimes that's not what God has for us. Sometimes the path that God has for us to get somewhere, it may be the same destination. It's something that I learned firsthand, something I had to deal with. I spent many nights crying and not knowing, what's next for me athletically. But I had to get to a point to where, although I may have the same destination in mind, the path that I had in my head and the path that God got for me to take, it may not be the same. And you have to accept that. And you can only grasp that when you humble yourself. You can't allow your pride. I allowed my pride to get in the way of me, which made me, angry, which made me mad with others involved in the journey, right? And I didn't want to take advice because I allowed my pride to get in the way. I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to listen to God. And I didn't want to accept the way that He had for me to be blessed. But sometimes we just have to accept that although it's not happening in the way that I want it to happen, happening when I want it to happen, it's going to happen. But I have to accept. I have to humble myself, kill my pride, and just accept the way that God has for me to be blessed, right? And you'll be at peace with things. You'll be content with things from that point on. And then he goes on to say in verse 11, "Speak not evil to one another, brethren. He that speaketh evil to his brother judgeth his brother, speaketh of evil of the law, judgeth the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge." So basically what he's saying here is just love your neighbor. Love in spite of what somebody may do to you. Coming from somebody firsthand, like, I know that feeling that be in you, that when someone do you wrong, you want, or you feel like someone's saying something, someone's just irritating you, making you angry in some type of way, you want to react. But we have to submit ourselves to God. That's not pleasing to God. God don't want me to do this. God do not want me to react to this. Let's think about it this way. God got me, right? So I don't have to worry about, someone lying on me, someone, saying this to me, because God got me. The mindset that I developed, through my relationship with God is, it is what it is. God gonna reveal the truth, and God gonna, handle it Himself. I don't have to handle it. God's gonna handle it Himself. So treat everyone with love, regardless of, whether they treat you with love or not. You can't dictate what nobody else do, but you can dictate what you do. Treat everyone with love. Do not go out there judging people. Don't be one of those people that look on from the outside looking in, judging people, telling, talking about others and judging people on how they look or what they do. Love, unless you're judging that person to their face, but with the intentions of trying to help them, God says if that's not your intentions, if your intentions is not to help that person, which it requires you to, judge that person to their face and, but come in a way of trying to help them, He says, I don't want you to do it. Just love. That's how you show love, and that's how you judge in love, is when all right, that was wrong. I'm coming to you, as your brother or your sister. That was wrong. and this is how we can fix this. That's how you judge in love. But if we're gonna judge with malice in our heart, anger, all of that, God said no. It goes against his number one commandment: love, thy neighbor, love, everyone. We gotta love everyone. We gotta treat everyone with love. We gotta make sure that we're treating people how we want to be treated. How can we love God if we can't love our brothers and sisters here? So everything that I've just said is how we submit ourselves to God and resist the devil. I hope this message helped you guys, bring you guys closer to God, and I'm asking for continual blessings you guys' way, and that you guys' relationship continue to grow with Him. Thank you.